Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our Introduction to Culinary Arts class. I hope you're all doing well and ready for our second meeting. Before we start today's topic, let's briefly connect it with what we discussed in our previous session. Last week, we explored the history of culinary arts, the development of professional kitchens, kitchen hierarchy, standards of professionalism, and various career opportunities in the culinary industry. Today, we are going to move one step closer to the practical side of culinary work. We will learn about kitchen tools and equipment, the tools and equipment that support a chef in preparing, cooking, and presenting food. My name is Chef Haru Pramudia, A.M.D., S.St, St.Pr, M.St. I am a lecturer in culinary arts at Polytechnic International Bali, and I also work as an accreditation assessor and ISO auditor. So let's begin today's session and learn not only what these kitchen tools and equipment are, but also how to recognize their functions and use them properly and professionally. All right, everyone, let's get started. Before we go into the details, let's first look at the topics we are going to cover in today's session. There are 5 main areas that we will discuss. First, cooking equipment, which covers the main equipment used for cooking processes. Second, processing equipment, which focuses on equipment used to prepare and process ingredients before they are cooked. Third, holding and storage equipment, which helps us maintain and protect the quality of food during storage or holding. Fourth, pots, pans, and containers. We will learn that different types of pots and pans have different functions depending on the cooking technique. And finally, knives, hand tools, measuring devices, and small equipment. These may look simple, but they are extremely important in professional kitchen operations. So throughout today's lesson, I want you to pay attention not only to the name of each tool or equipment, but also to its function and the appropriate situation in which it should be used. Let's begin with the first topic, cooking equipment. Before we start with the equipment, let's first understand what you are expected to achieve from today's lesson. There are 5 main learning objectives. First, you should become familiar with cooking equipment. You need to recognize different types of cooking equipment and understand how to use them according to their function. Second, you will learn about different types of processing equipment, from simple manual tools to modern machines that help us prepare ingredients more efficiently. Third, we will discuss holding and storage equipment. You will learn about equipment used to store both raw ingredients and finished products while maintaining their quality, safety, and shelf life. Fourth, you will learn about the usage of pots, pans, and containers. It is important to understand that different cookware has different functions. For example, a saucepan, frying pan, and stock pot are designed for different purposes. And finally, we will become familiar with knives, hand tools, measuring devices, and small equipment. These tools are essential for accuracy, efficiency, and consistency in professional cooking. So by the end of this session, I want you to be able to recognize the equipment, understand its function, and choose the appropriate tool for the task. Let's start with our first topic, cooking equipment. Before we start discussing today's material, I would like you to complete a short pretest. Please take out your smartphone and scan the QR code on the screen. The pretest is designed to check your existing knowledge about kitchen tools and equipment before we begin the lesson. Don't worry about getting everything correct. This is not your final assessment. The purpose is simply to find out what you already know and which areas we need to focus on during today's class. Please complete the pretest individually and honestly based on your current knowledge. All right, everyone, please scan the QR code, enter the pretest, and take a few minutes to complete it. Once everyone has finished, we will continue with our first topic, cooking equipment. Now, let's begin our main discussion with an important introduction to quantity food equipment. Before using any equipment in a professional kitchen, the first thing we need to understand is safety. First, food equipment can be dangerous. Kitchen equipment can cause serious injuries, including cuts, burns, and even more severe accidents. That is why we must understand the correct operating procedure before using any equipment. Second, not all models are alike. 2 pieces of equipment may look similar, but they may have different operating systems. So never assume that because you already know one machine, you automatically know how to operate another model. Training is essential before using any equipment. Third, cleaning is part of the operating procedures. Cleaning is not only about maintaining food hygiene, proper cleaning also helps maintain the condition and performance of the equipment. Next, conserve energy. As culinary professionals, we also need to think about energy efficiency. We should understand when equipment needs to be heated and how modern equipment can help us reduce unnecessary energy consumption. And finally, your hands are your best tools. Machines can help us save time and effort. especially when we are working with large quantities of food. However, we still need our hands and basic culinary skills to control and prepare food properly. So before we start learning about different types of equipment, remember these 5 principles: safety, training, cleaning, energy efficiency, and proper use of our basic culinary skills. These principles will guide us throughout today's discussion on kitchen tools and equipment. Now, let's move to our first category of cooking equipment: range tops. Range tops are one of the most important pieces of cooking equipment in a professional kitchen. There are several types, and each one has different characteristics and applications. First, we have open elements or burners. These use an open gas flame and are commonly used with pots and pans for direct cooking. Second, flat top or hot top. This type has a flat steel plate that distributes heat across the cooking surface. It is useful when we need a more even cooking surface. Third, we have the heavy-duty flat top. This is a stronger version, designed for intensive use with heavy cast steel or cast iron components. It is suitable for demanding professional kitchen operations. Fourth, induction cooktops. Instead of using a direct flame, induction technology heats suitable metal cookware through induction. One of its characteristics is that the cooking surface itself remains relatively cooler compared with the cookware. And finally, we have the quali range. This is a large cooking range with gas controls, commonly associated with high-volume cooking and Asian-style cooking operations. So when you look at these 5 types, don't just memorize their names. Try to understand how each range top produces heat, what type of cookware it uses, and what kind of cooking operation it is suitable for. As culinary students, understanding the equipment is important because choosing the right cooking equipment can affect cooking efficiency, consistency, safety, and the final quality of the food. Now, let's take a closer look at the first type of range top, open elements or burners. As you can see in these examples, the burner uses an open gas flame as the heat source. This is one of the most common cooking systems in professional kitchens because it allows the chef to control the cooking process directly through the gas flame. The images show different forms of gas burners, from an individual burner to a 4-burner stove and a larger professional range top. When using an open burner, the cookware, such as a pot or frying pan, is placed directly above the flame. The intensity of the heat can be adjusted according to the cooking process. For example, we may need high heat to bring water to a boil quickly, while lower heat may be required for simmering or maintaining a gentle cooking process. However, because we are working with an open flame, safety is very important. We need to make sure the cookware is stable, the flame is controlled properly, and the surrounding area is kept clean and free from anything that can interfere with safe operation. So when you see an open burner, remember 3 important things: gas flame, direct heat, and proper control. These basic principles will become important when you start working with professional cooking equipment in the kitchen. Now let's move to the second type of range top, flat top or hot top. Unlike the open burner we discussed earlier, this equipment uses a flat cooking surface, usually made from heavy metal or steel. The heat is transferred through the flat plate to the cookware or directly to the food, depending on the design. One of the main advantages of a flat top is that it provides a large and relatively even cooking surface. This makes it useful when we need to cook several portions at the same time or when we need consistent heat across the cooking area. In a professional kitchen, this type of equipment can be used for different cooking tasks, particularly preparations that require a stable and evenly heated surface. However, as chefs, we still need to understand heat control. A flat surface can retain heat, so adjusting the temperature correctly and allowing the equipment to reach the appropriate operating temperature are important. So remember the difference from our previous slide. Open burner uses a direct open flame, while a flat top uses a heated flat surface. Understanding this difference will help you choose the right equipment for the cooking technique and the product you are preparing. Now let's move to the next type of cooking equipment, the heavy-duty flat top. As the name suggests, this equipment is designed for heavy and intensive use in a professional kitchen. Compared with a standard flat top, the heavy-duty version has a more robust construction and is designed to handle continuous cooking operations. You can see that it has a large, solid cooking surface with several controls along the front. This allows the chef to manage the heat across the cooking area according to the production needs. Because the cooking surface is large, this equipment is particularly useful when we need to prepare larger quantities of food or when the kitchen has a high volume of production. When operating heavy-duty equipment, we still need to pay attention to temperature control, proper cleaning, and safe operation. The fact that the equipment is built for heavy use does not mean that we can operate it carelessly. So the key point to remember is, a standard flat top provides a flat heated surface, while a heavy-duty flat top is designed to withstand more intensive professional kitchen operations. As future culinary professionals, you need to understand not only how equipment works, but also which equipment is appropriate for the scale and demands of the kitchen operation. Let's move to the fourth type of cooking equipment: induction cooktops. Induction is different from the gas and flat top equipment we discussed earlier. Instead of using an open flame, induction uses electromagnetic energy to heat suitable cookware. As you can see on the slide, the cooking surface is flat and smooth, with marked areas showing where the cookware should be placed. One important characteristic of induction cooking is that the heat is generated in the cookware itself rather than through a direct flame. This makes induction different from conventional gas cooking. On the right side of the slide, we can also see a comparison between gas, electric, and induction cooking surfaces. This helps us understand that different cooking technologies produce heat in different ways. For professional kitchens, understanding the characteristics of each system is important. We need to consider temperature control, cooking efficiency, appropriate cookware, safety, and the type of food production. So remember the key difference. Gas uses a flame, electric equipment uses an electrical heating element, while induction uses electromagnetic energy to heat compatible cookware. As culinary students, don't just memorize the name induction. Understand how the equipment works and when it is appropriate to use it. Now we come to the fifth type of range top, the quali range. As you can see from the images, the quali range has a large and heavy-duty cooking surface with a large burner designed to accommodate larger cookware. This type of equipment is commonly associated with high-volume cooking and Asian-style cooking operations, where chefs may use large pots, woks, or other large cooking vessels. One of the advantages of this equipment is its ability to provide strong and concentrated heat, which is useful for cooking in large quantities and for cooking techniques that require high heat. When using a quali range, safety and heat control are very important. Because the burner can generate significant heat, the chef needs to understand how to control the flame and how to position the cookware properly. So let's remember the 5 types of range tops we have discussed: open burner, flat top, heavy-duty flat top, induction cooktop, and quali range. Each has a different design, heat source, and application. As a professional chef, the goal is not simply to know the equipment by name, but to understand which equipment is most appropriate for the cooking technique, quantity of food, and type of kitchen operation. Now let's move to another important category of cooking equipment: ovens, specifically the conventional oven or deck oven. This type of oven is commonly used in bakery and pastry production. One of its main characteristics is the presence of a deck or baking surface, where the products are placed for baking. There are several important points that we need to remember when operating this type of oven. First, give enough space between the products. Do not place bread or pastry products too close together. Adequate space allows heat to circulate properly and helps the products bake more evenly. Second, avoid opening the oven door too frequently. Every time we open the door, heat escapes and the oven temperature can drop. This can affect the baking process, particularly for products that require a stable temperature. Third, always preheat the oven before use. The oven needs to reach the required temperature before the product is placed inside. Preheating helps create more consistent baking conditions. If we look at the examples on the slide, modern deck ovens can also be equipped with precise temperature controls, which are useful for professional and large-scale production. So when working with an oven, remember 3 basic principles: give the products enough space, avoid opening the door unnecessarily, and always preheat the oven before baking. These simple practices can have a significant impact on the consistency and quality of the final product. Next, let's look at another type of oven: the convection oven. The main difference between a convection oven and a conventional oven is the fan inside the oven. The fan circulates hot air throughout the oven chamber, allowing heat to reach the product more quickly and evenly. Because the heat circulates more efficiently, convection ovens can generally cook or bake products faster than conventional ovens. However, there are several things we need to pay attention to. First, the temperature usually needs to be adjusted lower than a conventional oven, because the circulating heat is more effective. Second, we need to check the baking time carefully. Do not automatically use the same baking time as a conventional oven because the product may cook faster. Third, we need to consider the type of product. The forced airflow from the fan can affect delicate products, particularly products with a soft structure. The images on this slide show different sizes of convection ovens, from smaller units to larger commercial bakery equipment. They can be used for products such as bread, cookies, pastry, and other products that require relatively even cooking. So the key principle is, convection ovens provide efficient heat circulation and can reduce cooking time, but we need to adjust the temperature, monitor the baking time, and consider the characteristics of the product. As culinary professionals, we should never simply follow a recipe without understanding the equipment. The same product can behave differently depending on the type of oven we use. Now, let's move to another type of commercial oven, the revolving oven, also known as a real oven. The main characteristic of this oven is its large baking chamber with multiple trays that rotate continuously, similar to a Ferris wheel. The rotating tray system helps expose the products to heat more evenly during the baking process. This makes the oven particularly suitable for large-scale bakery production, where many products need to be baked at the same time. As we can see in the images, this type of oven can accommodate different bakery products, such as bread, cookies, and pies in multiple trays. There are several advantages to using a revolving oven. First, it has a large production capacity, making it suitable for commercial bakery operations. Second, the rotating tray system helps provide more even heat exposure. Third, it can improve work efficiency because the baker does not need to manually move or rotate each tray during the baking process. However, this equipment also has limitations. It requires a large investment and sufficient kitchen space, so it is more appropriate for commercial or industrial scale production rather than a small kitchen. So the key point to remember is, a revolving oven uses rotating trays to support high-volume bakery production and consistent baking results. When choosing equipment for a professional kitchen, we always need to consider not only its technology, but also the production volume, available space, investment, and operational needs. Now we come to one of the most versatile pieces of equipment in a professional kitchen, the combination oven, or combi oven. As the name suggests, this equipment combines several cooking functions in one machine. A combi oven can operate in 3 different modes. First, as a convection oven, using hot air circulation to cook the food. Second, as a convection steamer, where steam is introduced into the cooking chamber to maintain moisture. And third, it can use both convection and steam at the same time. This combination is particularly useful when we want to control both the texture and moisture of the food. For example, when cooking chicken or fish, dry heat can help develop the surface while steam helps maintain moisture inside the product. As you can see from the images, modern combi ovens are equipped with digital control panels, allowing chefs to control parameters such as temperature, cooking time, and humidity. The major advantage of a combi oven is its flexibility. It can be used for baking, roasting, steaming, and other cooking applications. This makes it particularly useful in hotels, restaurants, catering operations, and other professional kitchens. However, this technology also requires a higher investment and proper maintenance. A sophisticated piece of equipment will only provide good results when it is operated and maintained correctly. So remember this key point. A combi oven combines hot air and steam technology in one unit, giving the chef greater control over the cooking environment. And as future culinary professionals, understanding this equipment means understanding not only how to operate the machine, but also how to select the appropriate cooking mode for the product we are preparing. Now, let's continue with another specialized type of oven, barbecue ovens or smoke ovens. Unlike conventional ovens, this equipment uses wood smoke to add a distinctive aroma and flavor to food. It is commonly used for products such as meat, sausages, and smoked fish. One important factor in smoking is the type of wood we use because different woods produce different characteristics of smoke. For example, hickory produces a strong and pronounced smoky aroma and is suitable for red meat. Mesquite produces an intense smoky flavor and is commonly associated with American-style barbecue. Meanwhile, fruit woods, such as cherry or apple wood, generally produce a milder and slightly sweeter smoke, which can be suitable for poultry, fish, and cheese. Smoke ovens can also operate in different ways. Some are designed for cold smoking, where the product receives smoke at a relatively low temperature, mainly to develop aroma. Others can combine smoking with a baking cycle, while some modern models may also include a steam system to help maintain moisture. The images show different types of smoke ovens, from traditional barbecue smokers to modern cabinet-style equipment with temperature controls. The main advantage is that smoke ovens can create unique aroma and flavor characteristics that we cannot achieve with a conventional oven. However, smoking requires careful control of wood, smoke, temperature, and time. The process can also take longer than conventional cooking. So the key point to remember is a smoke oven is not simply an oven for cooking. It is a piece of equipment used to develop specific smoky flavors and aromas through controlled smoking. As culinary professionals, we need to understand how different equipment influences not only the cooking process, but also the final flavor, aroma, texture, and characteristics of the food. Let's look at another traditional type of oven, the wood-burning oven. As the name suggests, this oven uses wood as its main source of heat. The wood is burned inside the oven, producing direct heat, radiant heat, and hot embers. The heat is also absorbed and retained by the fire-resistant bricks, which helps maintain a high temperature inside the oven. One important characteristic of a traditional wood-burning oven is that it does not have precise automatic temperature control. The temperature depends on factors such as the amount of wood, the size of the fire, and how the fire is managed by the cook. As shown on the slide, traditional wood-burning ovens can have different designs, from simple metal structures to modern stainless steel ovens and traditional brick ovens. Another important characteristic is the very high operating temperature. According to the material, the temperature inside the oven can reach around 480 degrees Celsius. This makes it particularly suitable for products that require very high heat and short cooking times, such as pizza. One of the main advantages is the distinctive smoky aroma and authentic character that wood can contribute to the food. The stored heat in the brick walls can also help maintain a high temperature for an extended period. However, there are also challenges. Temperature control is more difficult than with modern ovens, so the chef needs good skills to manage the fire, wood, embers, and position of the food. The oven also requires adequate space and proper ventilation because it produces significant heat and smoke. So the key point to remember is, a wood-burning oven combines very high heat with traditional cooking techniques and can create distinctive flavor and texture. This is why wood-burning ovens remain popular in traditional pizza restaurants, artisan bakeries, and other culinary operations that value authentic cooking methods. Now, let's move to another modern type of cooking equipment, the microwave oven. A microwave oven uses microwave energy to heat food. Unlike a conventional oven that heats food mainly through hot air, conduction, and radiation, a microwave works by causing molecules within the food to move, producing heat rapidly. One of the main components involved in this process is the magnetron, which generates the microwave energy. The energy is distributed inside the oven chamber, while the turntable helps distribute the heating more evenly. Microwave ovens are especially useful when we need to heat or defrost food quickly. They can also be energy efficient because the heating process focuses directly on the food rather than heating a large oven chamber. However, there are some important safety considerations. We should be careful with metal objects such as spoons, forks, or aluminum foil because they can cause sparks. We also need to use microwave-safe containers. Certain disposable plastics or materials such as styrofoam may not be suitable for microwave use. Another important point is that some foods can behave unexpectedly when heated. For example, whole eggs in their shells can build up steam and potentially explode. So always check whether the container and food are appropriate for microwave use before operating the equipment. Microwave ovens also have limitations. They are not designed to produce the same browning, crust, or roasted texture that we get from conventional ovens. So remember the main point. A microwave oven is excellent for fast heating and defrosting, but it is not a replacement for every type of cooking equipment. As culinary professionals, we need to understand the strengths and limitations of each piece of equipment so that we can choose the right tool for the right cooking process. Now let's continue with another type of cooking equipment, broilers and salamanders. First, let's understand the difference. A broiler, sometimes called an overhead broiler, produces heat from above. This is different from a grill, where the main heat source generally comes from below. Because the heat comes directly from the top, a broiler is very useful for browning the surface of food, melting cheese, or creating a crisp and attractive finish. Then we have the salamander. A salamander is essentially a smaller type of broiler. Its compact design makes it very practical for professional kitchens, especially when space is limited. Salamanders are commonly used for reheating food, browning the surface, or giving the final color and texture to a dish. This is an important concept for you to remember as culinary students. Cooking does not always finish when the food is fully cooked. Sometimes we need a final step to improve the appearance and texture, for example, creating a golden brown surface, melting cheese, or producing a gratinated finish. So when you see a broiler or salamander, think about finishing, browning, and surface heat. The key difference is simple. A broiler is generally larger and designed for overhead cooking, while a salamander is a more compact piece of equipment commonly used for finishing and browning. Understanding these functions will help you select the right equipment to achieve the desired color, texture, and presentation of your dish. Now, let's continue with another specialized cooking equipment: rotisseries. A rotisserie is a cooking equipment designed to roast meat by rotating it slowly in front of a heating element. It is commonly used for products such as chicken and other types of meat. The basic principle is quite simple. The meat is placed on a metal spit or rod and rotated continuously while exposed to the heat. This rotation helps the heat reach different parts of the product more evenly. At the same time, the natural fat from the meat can drip and coat the surface during cooking, helping create a golden brown and appealing exterior. Rotisseries are particularly useful when we need to produce large quantities of roasted meat with consistent results. If we look at the images, we can see both modern commercial rotisserie equipment and the finished roasted chicken. The equipment can accommodate multiple products at the same time, making it suitable for restaurants, hotels, and other food service operations. The key advantages are consistent cooking, attractive browning, and efficient production. So when you see a rotisserie, remember its key principle. The product rotates continuously while exposed to heat. As culinary professionals, understanding this movement is important because the rotation is not simply for presentation. It helps us achieve more even cooking and consistent browning across the product. And this is why rotisserie equipment is widely used in professional food production, particularly when we need to prepare roasted products in larger quantities. Now, let's continue with another important cooking equipment: deep fryers. A deep fryer is designed to cook food by immersing it completely in hot fat or hot oil. This cooking method allows food to cook relatively quickly and can produce the characteristic crispy texture that we expect from many fried products. There are 3 types of deep fryers shown on this slide. First, standard deep fryers. This is the most common type. Food is placed inside a basket and then lowered into the hot oil. It can be used for products such as French fries, fried chicken, onion rings, and many other fried foods. Second, automatic fryers. These fryers have an automatic system that can raise the basket when the cooking time is completed. This can make the operation easier and help improve consistency during production. Third, pressure fryers. These fryers use a pressure-based cooking system. The pressure helps speed up the cooking process and can produce food that is juicy inside while remaining crispy on the outside. If we look at the images, we can see different types of fryers, from standard commercial units to larger systems designed for higher volume production. For a professional kitchen, the important point is not simply knowing how to fry food. We also need to understand which type of fryer is appropriate for the product, production volume, cooking time, and consistency required. And of course, because we are working with hot oil, safety must always come first. So remember the 3 types: standard fryer, automatic fryer, and pressure fryer. Each one has a different operating system, but all are designed to support efficient and consistent deep frying operations. A tilting skillet, also known as a tilting brazier or tilting fry pan, is designed to perform several cooking functions in one piece of equipment. It can be used as a griddle or fry pan for grilling and frying. It can also function as a stew pot or stock pot for preparing soups, stews, sauces, and other foods in large quantities. In certain applications, it can also be used as a steamer or as a bain-marie for holding food warm. One of its most useful features is the tilting mechanism. The cooking pan can be tilted forward, making it much easier to transfer food into another container. This is especially useful when handling large quantities of liquid or cooked food because we do not need to lift the entire pan manually. If we look at the images, we can see how the equipment is used for different preparations, including large-scale vegetable cooking and other food production. This type of equipment is particularly useful in hotels, large restaurants, catering operations, and other high-volume kitchens because one machine can perform several functions. So the key point to remember is tilting skillet = versatility plus large capacity plus easier food transfer. As future culinary professionals, you should recognize that professional kitchen equipment is designed not only to cook food, but also to improve efficiency, safety, productivity, and consistency in large-scale food production. Now, let's move to another important piece of equipment for large-scale food production: the steam-jacketed kettle. A steam-jacketed kettle is designed primarily for cooking liquid and semi-liquid foods in large quantities. What makes this equipment different from a regular pot is the way it transfers heat. Instead of heating only from the bottom, the kettle is surrounded by a steam jacket, allowing heat to be transferred around the size of the cooking vessel as well. This provides more even and controlled heating, which is particularly useful when cooking products that could easily burn or stick to the bottom. Steam-jacketed kettles are commonly used for products such as soups, sauces, stocks, porridge, tomato sauce, and other liquid preparations. As you can see in the images, this equipment can be used for different types of large-scale production, including preparing sauces and boiling food in large quantities. Some models may also have a tilting mechanism, which makes it easier and safer to transfer the finished product from the kettle into another container. This type of equipment is commonly found in hotels, hospitals, schools, food manufacturing facilities, and catering operations where large quantities of food need to be produced consistently. So the key concept to remember is steam-jacketed kettles use steam around the cooking vessel to provide controlled and relatively even heating for large volume food production. As culinary professionals, understanding equipment like this is important because professional kitchens are not only about cooking well, they are also about producing food efficiently, safely, and consistently at the required volume. Now, let's continue with another important type of cooking equipment: steam cookers. Steam cookers use hot steam to cook food. This cooking method is particularly useful because it allows food to cook without direct contact with oil and can help maintain the natural characteristics of the ingredients. There are two main types shown on this slide. First, pressure steamers. These cook food using steam under pressure. Because the steam is pressurized, the cooking process can be faster than conventional steaming. This type of equipment can be used for products such as dim sum, seafood, corn, and potatoes. Second, convection steamers. These use the circulation of hot steam throughout the cooking chamber to distribute heat more evenly. They are suitable for various products, including vegetables, rice, fish, and other foods prepared using steaming techniques. As we can see in the images, steam cookers are available in different designs, including multi-level units that can accommodate several trays at the same time. This makes them particularly useful in hotel kitchens, catering operations, and other large-scale food production environments. From a culinary perspective, steaming is also important because it can help maintain the color, flavor, and nutritional characteristics of food while requiring little or no added oil. So remember the main difference. Pressure steamers use pressurized steam, while convection steamers distribute hot steam through the cooking chamber. As culinary professionals, we need to understand not only how to operate steam equipment, but also which steaming system is appropriate for the product, cooking time, and production requirements.